We are in week 3, but before we dive into that, man, how you doing today, Shane?
Doing well. I always, Mondays is a busy day for me, so it's always a little just get going and try to map out the week and make sure you get everything done before the week's over. I guess.
Yeah.
Is
Dude,
that
this morning was like epic for me. I don't know what it is. Like, it was like I went to the gym and I just had like this. I don't know. Maybe I took too much pre-workout, probably, because I did take like a scoop and a half because
all
I was
right?
kind of tired. But man, I just crushed it in the gym. Was there for like 90 minutes, and then when I left, dude, it was like those moments when you're. And I know I didn't look like I felt for sure, but like I was walking out of the gym, and I was literally just like, I feel like I'm like the biggest dude in the world, and I'm just I just am like this beast, like walking. I'm like, blah, blah. It felt amazing. It's like it's a crazy how if you like do stuff like that and just push yourself and like move. I mean, it's a lot of what we talk about, right? Having that balance in life, right? Hitting all those domains, but just crushing a body like I did this morning on a Monday morning, it's just like set the tone for today and the whole week. And yeah, so I'm on
No, and
fire.
what I always found is how you're gonna feel at the end of the workout is never how you think you're even gonna feel. I've had
Mm,
workouts where I roll in and I feel like great, and then at the end of it you're like, man, I'm beat. I've had other workouts where I had to force myself to go do it, and at the end you're like, man, I am killing it. You
yeah.
know,
Oh
and
yeah.
I can't figure out the rhyme or reason. So I think the
Dude,
moral is go work out.
exactly the moral of the story is get your ass in the gym. That's it. That is the moral of the story. Podcast over.
Yeah.
Although I did go hit on leg day last week. This is a good sign for get your head in the game. Don't be a dum dum. And I'm doing back squat, not heavy, but like heavy-ish. It's 225. It's not heavy, but so
Yeah.
I'm 10 rep was what I was supposed to do, but my head just wasn't in it. And I'm just like, man, whatever. It's not heavy enough that I need a back, a belt or knee brace, anything like that. So I'm doing it. I'm gonna rep like 5, and for whatever reason, I'm just like by rep 5, I was like, I wish I was a rep 10. I remember thinking that because I just
Yeah.
wasn't in it, and I totally distant. I'm at the bottom of the squat, and I'm going past 90. I'm going all the way into that like almost like where you're like like all the way down. If you know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about, ass to
Right.
the ground.
Uh-huh.
So I'm dropping all the way down, and then I'm pushing up, but I have that thought. I wish I was at rep 10, and I totally let my core go. I just didn't engage it at all, and as I'm coming, and my body hinged forward a little bit, and I just feel up my spine just like the muscle just
Oh.
went
Oh
and
yeah.
just tightened up, and I got up to the top, racked it, and then I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, what was that? Is this Nate Major? And just over like the next 3 minutes, it just got tighter and tighter, and I'm like, son of a bitch. I'm like,
Yeah. No,
gosh
that's
dang
usually
it.
you're out of it now. You are at rep 10 and not only that, you probably screwed up the whole rest of your workout too because everything's
Oh,
so tight. And if you're not, every time I've gotten hurt, just about is when I was like, let me just power through this super quick and go. So you quit watching.
mm-hmm.
And it's not like you're going to cut any time off either. I mean, I've got
No.
prescribed rest times. I don't even know what the hell I'm trying to push, speed things through. But that's usually when I get hurt. You know.
Oh yeah. Well, it's not paying attention to the simple little details, right? It's those simple little details, which kind of lends us into today's conversation as we step into week 3 of this series that we're doing on how to literally, not just theory, but how to literally set up your firm the way you want it. If you miss the
Right.
first 2 episodes, go back and listen to those because it'll help you build into it, into what we're talking about. But really, it's details, and it's the details of kind of the housekeeping stuff,
Yeah.
right? What these are the things that are like, man, we don't want to do, but I also think they're important because you can get stuck in doing some of these things, which will create you problems down the road if you didn't set things up
What?
correctly or
Yeah.
all of that.
And I've also seen people get stuck on these in the reverse where they overanalyze and they spend all this time and energy just trying to figure out the best one of these they're going to do, right? Because
Yeah.
uh, and I like one of the topics we're going to talk about is how to pay yourself, right? And how
Mm-hmm.
often and the frequency. And I had one guy, I was talking to him, and he's worried about all this stuff and what his pay is going to look like when he's making, I think it was $250,000 a year. And I'm like, dude, you haven't even started yet, man. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
what are you worried about that for? That's like a problem, like a year from now, right? That's a great
Yeah.
problem to have too. Let's dial all this stuff way back and
Mm-hmm.
just simplify it and go forward now, man. But he
Yeah.
spent like all this time and energy worried about a problem, that's well, heck, some people never even get to where they're paying themselves $250,000. But I mean, certainly not a problem the first year you need to worry about.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh yeah, for sure. And that we get stuck in them, right? And we get stuck. We overthink it. We'll either miss it or we'll just spend too. Well, usually what I see is what you're talking about, right? Is you just spend too much time there, right? That I think the
yeah.
classic joke is, how you redesign your logo over and over and over,
Yep.
and it takes you like 2 weeks to design this awesome logo, and you're like, dude, nobody cares. The Nike swoosh wasn't anything until Nike became Nike, right? And that's what,
and that's the point of this one, right? Is
Yep.
make your list of stuff and then work through it and be done, and and move on, basically, right? Because you can always change stuff. I mean, you can even change your whole corporate name and structure. It's just a pain,
yeah,
but it's really not even that hard to do. And honestly, it's not even that painful to do. I mean, you could set up a new LLC like tomorrow in an hour. You could totally change it all, have the LLC set up inside of an hour. You're gonna have to get new bank accounts, but I mean that's pretty easy to do. So, in housekeeping this week, we've got do your corporate registration, register with the state bar, buy your domain, fix your email, get a trackable phone number, get some escrow software if you're doing with escrow accounts, figure out how you're going to pay yourself, get your business cards and your name done. And I think those are the key things that everybody thinks they need to get done, and some of them you do need to get done. But the other stuff is you need to make a decision and move on, right? Like name of your firm. Holy cow, do you know how many lawyers I've talked to, they spend more than a dang hour. They spend days trying to figure out their firm and then their logo, and they don't have any clients, and they're worried about what everything's going to look like. And I'm like, I got the great original name, Shane Smith Law, right?
Yeah.
My name and law at the end of it. Boom.
What brought you to that name? Like, how much time and thought went into that?
Not a bunch, because I had a coach and mentor that I had started looking at his coaching program right when I decided I was going to start my own law firm, and that's how he did it. And I was like, well, shoot, if it's good enough for him and he teaches in this space, it's probably good enough for me. Boom.
Yeah.
So that was it. That was the whole thing. I think the hardest part was, do I call it Ron Smith Law or Shane Smith Law? Because Ron is actually my first name, Shane's my middle name. So, but professionally, I was known by Shane, so I was like, it would be stupid to go the other way.
Yeah.
So Shane Smith Law, bam. And then I had to search, was that domain available? And, it was. So that became the name of the firm. Boom, right there. And law offices of Shane Smith seems really long as opposed to Shane Smith Law, right? So that was probably how I determined how to call it. Is I saw my mentor do it, right? Shane Smith Law. And then I think I said it out loud like 3 or 4 times. Shane Smith Law offices of Shane Smith. And even I stumbled over saying law offices of Shane Smith. I was like, let's go Shane Smith Law. Done. Boom.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah. And I think this is one of those, it matters that you have a name, right? And it matters that there's a name, but it doesn't matter as much as the weight people give it. And
right.
I think it's self-evident. Like, and what a lot of times we're like, well, I want a really good name that will be, recognizable later on. Consider the only way your name is going to be recognizable is if you build something cool, right? So you build a good firm. Well, guess what? No matter what you call it, it's going to be a recognizable name at that point. And so,
especially in the legal space, right?
Yeah.
Because in most states, the lawyer's name's got to be in there, right? Or at least the last name of all of the name partners, or at least of one of the partners. So if you're starting your own thing, it's pretty simple. I mean, some states will let you do like a trade name, like Georgia car wreck lawyers. Some will, most won't. I mean, and honestly, most of those are probably taken, right? So if you're going to try to come up with something catchy like that, you're going to spend a bunch of time trying to do that. That's not going to magically bring you cases or business. It's just not. So I think it's better to get a simple name, plug it in, start marketing next week kind of deal, right? Get your stuff. I will say, like, one of the issues is, get your business cards, right? Well, you got to get your name. You got to get your website before. I didn't have a fax number on mine, so I ran out and got some business cards. Then, like, a week later, I had to get business cards number 2. That was an error for me. I didn't have my fax number on there. Back in the day, we did a lot of faxes.
Is there still such a thing as a fax machine?
I've got fake fax machines in my office, right? So it's all digital. They just send stuff, but right from their desk. I don't even know what the point of it is, but some places want a fax, and we send it that way.
When it becomes to like legal binding, I don't know what it is about a fax. I don't know if it's like somehow safer in the way it's transmitted. Maybe I don't
I'm
know,
not
because
willing to put an opinion on that, Trevor. I don't
yeah,
think
I
it's
don't.
any
It
safer.
it's just weird. I've done eFax. We did
Yeah.
eFax all the time. It's
Well,
all we ever
and that's
used.
what
I'm
we
like,
do. Then we've got eFax or one of those derivative programs
mm-hmm,
that the team uses.
yeah,
I've even got an uncle who made fun of me. He asked me to fax something to, and I'm like, dude, I can't. I don't know how. I got a whole bunch of team members who know how, but I don't.
yeah, yeah,
I don't even have it. But so get that stuff, but don't spend a bunch of time on it, right? Like, and I see also like the phone number. Everybody, they want that vanity phone number. Well,
yeah.
vanity phone numbers cost money. And vanity phone numbers were all taken probably in the 80s and 90s. So unless you are some genius,
Mm-hmm.
really hard to just stumble into that vanity phone number. And it's probably not your first go around, right? Like we have a vanity number up in Charlotte, but and it's a repeater number, so 980-999-9999, but we rent that number from somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So we pay monthly on that, and it's a pretty big number. And there's no way a brand new baby lawyer or firm would spend the money there. There are much better ways to spend your money than that
Yeah.
when you're small.
Yeah. Well, I think the key distinction you're making right there, which I think is powerful to emphasize, is that you will probably modify some of what we're talking about later.
Yeah.
We're talking about, hey, let's get started and make this happen now. Okay, a regular phone number that you're going to get for free is just great. You just need them a way for them to be able to contact, and you need to be able to track what happens with it.
Right. And that does feed though into phone number. Get the simple one, right? Don't even.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, most people don't even do a 1-800 number nowadays, right?
Yeah.
They just get a simple phone number. They get a second one for their fax machine, and if they even need it, right? And but I do say go buy your domain name.
Yeah.
And go buy your domain name and set up your email so it's at whatever your firm name is, right? At Shane Smith Law or whatever. Because as a lawyer, and probably in tons of other industries too, when I see Joe at Google or Joe at Hotmail or whatever, those generic ones, I discredit those, right? Like, and I've had to hire lawyers that are, that I don't have a contact for, like in another state or another issue. And if their email address on their website is at yahoo.com, I'm like, no dice, you know.
Well, if they can't spend the $12 it is to buy a domain on GoDaddy, and then the what is it, $6 or $7 a month on Gmail to turn it into a Google email with your domain name, yeah, it's literally like a $20 a month thing. Yeah, and it's easy to do. It's easy. So it's a simple process. Pick it and don't be fancy with it. If your name is Trevor, just do Trevor at whatever the domain name
exactly.
is.
That's where my email started at, and it's very close to that still to this day. And now as we talk about, like you say, changing and modifying things, I have somebody who checks my email, but it's still that same simple email address. That's why they check it, right? Because I get a bunch of junk that's spammy and should be vendors calling other people and stuff, and it all comes to me. But yeah, make it your first name at whatever your domain name is. That's easy.
Yeah, and on the domain names, I want to make a point here, and some people may disagree with me. That's fine. Go ahead and disagree all you want. But when people think of a domain, they do not think of a dot something random. They think of .com.
Yes,
So
100%.
So don't get fancy. Don't get all creative, because you have the ability now to pretty much put anything at the end of a domain, right? It could be dot whatever you want to choose. But people naturally, intuitively are going to. So if they saw your email address or saw your domain, saw your website somewhere, they're going to, maybe they don't have it in front of them, right? You didn't have the ability for them to look at it. They're going to go type it in, but they're going to hit .com.
100%.
So just keep that in mind. Don't get fancy. Don't get creative.
Like,
keep
there's
it .com.
even like for a while there was a vendor out there selling .law, right? And the idea was all the law firms should buy it. They were pitching it out and stuff. At the time, I looked at the price and I was like, dude, I'd rather go buy 5 cases than have .law next to me. And I think it died away. I mean, I think they're still out there, but it's there's none of that fervor like we have to go do this. I agree with you, Trevor. Everything is .com, 100%.
Yep.
I wouldn't name it anything else other than that.
Keep the number simple, the domain simple, keep your name simple. You guys will notice a thread here, right?
Yeah.
Do not get fancy here. This is not a time to get fancy. This is it. Just get it done. You've got your email address. You've got everything set up. Let's talk the last few minutes of today's show on corporate registration and kind of what their thought process needs to be along that lines.
I'm going to say the simplest is like an LLC, like right out of the gate, right? Just do an LLC, just go to your corporate website, just Google, your state, Secretary of State's website. You can even put business formation. It's going to pop up and have you fill out a stupid little form just about, right?
Yep.
You don't have any partners. You don't have any business. You don't need a big partnership agreement, any of that. You can just fill out the dang form, request an EIN for tax purposes, and bam, you're good to go.
Yep.
There's no reason to make it more complex. You don't have any money right now, right? Now, like, and some people are like, well, is this the best tax structure? Well, one, it's not a bad tax structure, and two, you don't have any money right now. I mean, start practicing law. If you have tax problems, that's a great problem because it means you made some money, right?
Yep.
So,
Yep.
I like a simple LLC. Register it. Have your registered agent set up. Most of the states will auto-generate all the forms you need, and then you're good to go. If you couldn't do it for some reason, you could find a corporate attorney who would set it all up for you for like $1,200-$1,500, but you don't need to. It's that easy. Just register with the state, get an EIN from the feds, and you're good to go.
Yeah, and here's a little life hack. Now, in 2025, there's this thing called large language model, right? Learning model, whatever, ChatGPT or similar, and just ask it, what do I need to do to set up my LLC in this state with this type of a business? And guess what they'll do? I'm not saying they're going to give you legal advice, but I don't know, maybe it would. But it'll literally tell you, go to this website, and you can tell, give me the links. Like, give me the domains that I need to go to, and it'll literally give you, okay, step 1, do this, 2, 3, 4. So there's really no excuse to get something simple, get it set up, and then understand. Obviously, once you start making money, you probably need some advice from somebody who knows what they're doing, and then at that point, you can get some strategy involved. But right now, we're just saying, hey, we want to get you set up so you can take your first dollar.
Right.
Let's sign that first case.
Yeah, if you've got partnerships, I'm a firm believer you can do a simple partnership when you guys don't have any money. And that, because you don't have any money, right? I mean, there's no, and then set a calendar thing, right? Or a trigger that says, hey, when our partnership, we're splitting it up and we're both making over 100K, let's go get some real documents, right? Because the firm has some value at that point, or relook at this stuff, right? Or pay an accountant to do something. But until you've got like $100,000, I don't see the point in paying somebody money you don't have to set it all up. And when ChatGPT will do it, it wasn't even that hard before. Google would tell you how to do everything. I mean, I think I set one up in law school, or not in law school, but right after like my first year in practice for my folks, and it worked perfectly fine, And then I did all my own stuff. So do that simple. Don't make it complex. You don't have any money, right? I mean, I've seen people, 2 partners go in and they spend all this time figuring out how to value the firm and what it's going to be worth and all this. And I'm like, I hate to keep beating a dead horse, but you don't have any money. You don't have any cases. What are you guys dividing up who gets the domain when the firm splits up kind of stuff? I mean, there's nothing there. But set up triggers, right? It's like in the Army when we had soldiers, everybody was deploying, we're doing simple fancy wills. We're like, it's perfectly fine now. It's legal. It satisfies everything. But when you get back, we should probably do this with some real planning. Same there. Once you've proven you're going to be able to get some cases, once you're crossing that threshold, I think 100K is good. Let's relook at everything and make sure it's right.
Yeah, 100%. Which brings up the other area of kind of this housekeeping stuff that it's a good conversation to have is how are you going to pay yourself? Right. When it comes to the money, when the money starts coming in, right? I have watched people make a big mistake and just treat their business as a piggy bank.
Yeah, well,
and that gets real. That becomes a problem.
Yeah, so my theory in the beginning was I figured out how much money I had to have, right? Like, and I mean bare bones, belt is tightened kind of deal, no frills, how much I had to have. And I think it was like $2,000 a month. So like I said, my wife was working, so I had to contribute $2,000. So that's what I paid myself as $2,000. And then, and I did a payroll. In the beginning, I didn't. In the beginning, I had a payroll calculator, right? I downloaded one of these things that I put in my salary, whatever it was, $2,500, and it said, oh, you need to pay this much to the state, this much to the feds, and the rest goes to you. And that's what I did, right? I had 3 business accounts, right? I had one for expenses, for client expenses. I had one for operating, and then I had one for escrow, because I run client money comes in, right? I'm a personal injury lawyer, so I got to have that. I need separate accountings for that. And those are my three accounts. I don't think I needed the expense account. There was no need to do that in the beginning. Could have just had the operating and the escrow account. And it went, and I had it set up. So I got $2,000 sucked out of my account. Or I think I wrote the check back then, once a month. And then I did quarterly. I would look at how much money did the firm make, and of that extra amount, I would make a decision. Did we reinvest it all? Did I take some out and reinvest the rest? Did I just build up the operating account a little bit so I had a little more cushion if things were a little bit bad? Because my first goal was to get, as silly as it sounds, $6,000 in the operating account at the end of the quarter, so that next quarter I was guaranteed my $2,000.
Right.
Right. And that became the base, right? The
Isn't
$1,000.
isn't that wild, bro? That was those real numbers for you back when you started. Isn't that crazy to look at where you're at now?
Oh yeah, well, it is. Yeah, I mean, you joke about that, but like, I mean, I remember when my MX was, and you've heard this story, it was $8,000, and the operating account couldn't pay it, so I loaned the firm $10,000 so it could pay the MX bill, and somebody's like, well, that seems like a lot. I'm like, it wasn't a lot because we were advertising on it, but it was a lot for me at the time.
Yeah.
And now if I opened up my MX that came in the mail, it was $8,000. I'd be like, what is going on? It's a
You're
calamity.
Like, something's broken. What happened?
Yeah.
What's going? Yeah.
What happened? I'd be terrified. I'd have like 5 people in the Amex account figuring out what had went wrong. But yeah, so figure out how to pay yourself. I'm a firm believer in the take your minimum amount out you've got to have, and then build up 3 months worth of reserves, right, for the next quarter, and look at things quarterly. That worked well for me, because it gave it enough time where I didn't want to be doing a lot of this, where I didn't want to, in the quarter, disperse some money because it was great, and then next month be a lean month, and I was stressed out the entire month. Am I going to be able to pay myself or pay the bills? So the quarterly thing works super well for me for managing stress.
Yeah.
Which is why I did that.
I think this is a great topic too, and we could probably have a whole podcast on this subject right here. But when you look at this, you have to, like, if I'm an attorney that works for somebody, I'm getting a paycheck, I have all this, and I'm going to live a certain lifestyle, right? I'm making a certain amount of money. I know, Shane, when you stepped out on your own, even, you were like willing to take less money. You're like, okay, I'm going to contract a little bit. But I think I want to make the point super clear here that when you step out on your own, because you are now in charge of everything, right? All the bills, the payrolls, and everything else, even if it's just you, there's all of a sudden all these things that you're now responsible for. And it's not that it can't happen, but usually people get themselves in a lot of trouble when they try to maintain a lifestyle that requires a high revenue to come in, right? If, let's say, it costs you, today's numbers, $15,000 a month to live. So if it costs you $15,000 a month to live, and that's as an employee, and let's say you're making $20,000 a month, right? So you're making 20, you got this buffer, and then you go, okay, I'm going to start this new business, and you go out and you start this new business, but you don't contract at all. You maintain the $15,000. Now all of a sudden, what you've done is what Shane, you're talking about is, instead of getting, tightening the belt up and cinching things down so that everything can go into the growth of the company, you're starting at a $15K a month deficit to just stay alive, which that $15K, imagine that same $15K now being put into ads or put into personnel or put into some, travel, going to conventions, whatever it is, where you're actually growing it. So the mentality, I think, for everyone to realize is, when you are beginning, you're not going to be a baller. That says, right? When I start out any business, this doesn't matter. Like, when you start, you have to accept that. If you don't, it is a massive uphill battle. You will struggle. You'll have the Mercedes in the garage you cannot pay for. Like, you can't afford it, but you have it, so you look apart, and you have to be willing to sacrifice that. That's an ego thing, right? I've got to suck the ego down and be like, okay, for the next 3 years or so, or however long, whatever time frame, dollars you've decided is this dollar, I'm going to play it low. It's kind of like Assassin's Creed, right? I'm going to be quiet and silent in the shadows. No one will see me coming. And they won't, because you're going to be driving a Toyota Camry. You're living in a normal home that's not this outlandish thing, but you're building something that's going to pay you exponentially down the road, and that's a tough thing for a lot of people to do. So I just wanted to make that kind of emphasize that.
I was going to say, I managed that because I was very aware of what my monthly number had to be, right? And for a long time, I would fight tooth and nail not to increase that number, right, what I needed at home. But what that meant, though, was I would buy things in cash, basically, right? Like, I would if you could pay $100 a month, or you could buy it in cash for $1,000, I would pay $1,000 in. I would save up the money for the firm to buy it in cash because I didn't want to add $100 to my monthly number.
Yeah.
Right. And I got to where I would pay for stuff. Like when I had money, I paid for stuff. I sent my water company $1,200 one month, and they called me like, dude, what are you doing? You owe like 100. And I said, I know, I'm paying you, just run a balance. And it stressed them out. But then I didn't get a water bill for a year because I was artificially driving my stuff down. Now, is that the best way to do it? I'm not going to say it is. I'm going to say it worked well for me, though. Right? Like it kept my monthly number down so that I could continue to dump everything into the firm or a lot into it without moving my number from $2,000 to $3,000 to $4,000.
Yep.
Like I wanted new suits. All right, fine. Go buy the suit, pay cash for it, $2,000. Boom, done. I got the suit then. Everything was cash as much as I could so that the monthly number wouldn't go up.
Yeah, well, I think that's a key. And if you can maintain that as long as you possibly can, stretch it beyond what you quote unquote think is reasonable before you start to then invest in yourself that way, right? Where you're like, okay, it's time to take this out. But you don't do that until you have established systems, processes, routines, and all of this is now a revenue churning machine, right? And you're like, okay, and you don't go from 2K, a month, and you're like, okay, now I'm going to go to 30K. Because we're making that. No, okay. Well, let's just this is where you see these people everywhere, and it happens constantly. And don't let them fool you by what you see on social media and what they present to the world. Right? They look like they're this successful attorney doing A, B, and C. What you don't realize is they are just absolutely extended across everywhere because they need to look and be a certain way, especially if they've looked like that since they began. Right? Those humble beginnings are really a real thing because that's what allows you to grow something big to where then, you know what? I don't even care what you want, a Ferrari. Well, that's absolutely an option. Like if that's what you want.
And to those points, I knew an attorney that was struggling, right? They were not making money at all. And then somehow they sent something to me, right? I got a letter from them, something, because we were doing some work together, and I got it, and I was like, holy cow, feel the paper on this envelope. It's so thick. And then I opened it up, and the letter, they had fancy, at the time it seemed fancy letterhead. This is when you had to have letterhead designed. It wasn't like Word could just do it for you. And the paper was heavy too and big, and I was like, dude, this is pretty badass, right? I was like, but I knew it cost more money because I'd done the research. It cost like 3 times as much as my paper. And the letterhead I had designed and just thrown up in Word, that was Shane Smith Law.
Right.
And it wasn't, and it just came right out of my printer kind of deal, all my paper, and my letters or envelopes were printed the same. And I'm like, dude, you're putting forth this image that you're very successful, and it's costing you money that you could be flipping into getting clients.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, so I prioritize marketing and sales heavy, over, and even so much so that the first place I worked out of, once I had an office, was we had the client conference room, and then the restroom was behind it. So you had to go out of the conference room into the hall, which was a working hallway, right? We had stuff in there to get to the restroom. So when clients wanted to do it, I would have to jump up and be like, hey, cool, you can use it, but you need to know we're a working law firm. We're not the TV law firm where everything is super glamorous. Once you go past this door right here, you are in my firm where people are working. And people would sort of laugh, and then they'd go in, and then they'd see people, and they'd see a pile of boxes full of supplies and something else. But they would, honestly, I never got negative feedback. What I got was, dude, I'm glad to see you guys are working. That's what every client ever said who saw that.
Well, it makes perfect sense because you're looking at, okay, well, I'm going to pay all this money to Shane Smith Law. Am I just paying for this beautiful persona?
Right.
Or no, I could totally see that, right? They're coming in, they're like, oh, no, I'm paying for all these badasses doing work. They're working. Yeah.
And we never had negative feedback from any clients that I know of, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because everybody was working.
Yeah. So I think establishing it when we talk about just paying yourself and you kind of figure that out, you got to map this out, figure out how you can do it, right? Figure it and really find your number. That's part of this, right? How are you going to pay yourself? Well, how much are you going to pay yourself? What's that going to look like? So, and just encourage you, find the smallest number you possibly can. And it might mean you need, if the number's too high, right? I've gone through this where we were contracting. This was years ago, back in the 2008 crash in the market. We were contracting, and I'm like, okay, I got to change the number because the number's just too high. based on, in order for me to rebuild this, like the number's too high. So we had to look at our life and be like, okay, what are we, we want to build this new thing, but what are we going to willing to sacrifice in lieu of that? And I remember selling things and just getting rid of things. And we're like, okay. And the house we're in, yes, it's a beautiful home, but it's me. And
It's going to cripple you.
yeah, I'm like, I'm okay to be in a different zip code for a second, like, because I'm going to go. And then by doing that, though, it freed up the cash. The stress wasn't there, and I was able to actually grow and build without feeling like, oh shit, how do we maintain this? How do we, how do I, it was fake anyways. Because if I was in that position, obviously you knew I was extended. If I was even in I don't know if I could afford this. Well, clearly shit had happened in '08, so it was like, right, and finding that number.
Well, and I mean, not to sound jaded, but you can rent stuff for all the Instagram photos you want. People do it all the time. I mean, you and I both know people who go rent a jet to take pictures in front of a jet to look great, or you can go borrow a watch, honestly, for a couple days and bring it back and return it. Or you can rent a watch. I mean, there's all these things you can do.
Or even finance it. I didn't even know you could do that. I guess I just am ignorant to it. I'm like, I didn't realize you could literally go
finance a Rolex,
rent a Rolex. I'm all, or like finance it like a car loan. I'm all, what the fuck? Well, why would you do that?
To be clear, we're not recommending that at all.
No,
that's the opposite of what we're recommending.
So the fact that I even said that, if you're now listening and you're like, oh, what, you can? I can go get a Rolex. I'm like, no, you heard the wrong message. The message is do not do that.
The goal is to keep your monthly expenses as low as possible.
Especially not finance for a Rolex. No one gives a shit if you have a Rolex.
And you want to pull it out on a regular basis, right? The same amount, because nothing will drive your spouse crazier than when y'all are doing the books for the month. And they're like, and I'm going to use she because I have a wife, but I mean, it works both ways, I'm sure. What are you contributing this month? $1,000. Well, last month you contributed $2,000. Yep. Well, this month I only got 1,000. Their stress is going to go through the roof. It's better to say, hey, I contribute $2,000 every month, and then I toss an extra $1,000 in when it's there, rather than going up and down kind of deal, or quarterly, right? I mean, so there's like Trevor said, there's tons of ways to talk about how to pay yourself, but the goal is keep it as tight as possible, as regular as possible, and if you get extra money, don't just go blow it, and don't just say this month I made $10,000. Let's leave it at the same and reinvest it, or make a quarterly distribution, so you've got some issues there. Along with the money, though, if you're a lawyer and you take client money, so you need an escrow or IOLTA account, set that up, a separate account. Keep those books tight, guys, because lawyers get in a lot of trouble. It's the quickest way to get discipline. You bounce one of those checks, you're going to be in front of your bar explaining yourself. They're going to go over your notes and your records, see what's going on. That thing needs to be balanced to the penny. And don't take, if client money is supposed to go in there, put it in there. Don't put it in your operating account and spend it, because that's how you get disbarred. Or you put it over there, and you shouldn't be pulling some money that's not yours out of there, right? I like a system called Cosmolex. It sets up, if I got $5,000 of client money, then I can only write checks for that client up to $5,000 out of that. So it keeps it balanced for me. It makes it all easy. There are other software systems out there. But they do what's called three-way reconciliation. The key is put it in there, keep accurate records down to the penny. No fudging those numbers kind of deals. The bars even recommend writing checks to your operating account from there versus electronic transfers, because they've noticed that people transpose numbers and screw stuff up when they do it electronically. I mean, and here's another thing. You don't ever get to say, hey, I'm too busy to balance it out. It's never going to work. That gets you disbarred as well. I know a big real estate lawyer who did a bunch of stuff, and he said, you guys are ridiculous. I do a ton of transactions. There's no point in trying to do this. None of this matters. And they decided it did matter. And
they said, you're done.
Yep, you're done. Now, so just keep that separately. If you got questions on that, ping us. I'll be glad to talk to you. I mean, separately about that issue, but just keep it nice and tight, guys. But like Trevor said, we could talk about money all day long, and maybe we'll have a follow-up episode on that.
Yeah, because we could definitely dive in. I think the key, though, is just remember, this housekeeping stuff needs to be handled, but don't get stuck on it.
Yeah. 1 week. Give yourself no more than a week. I mean, designing business cards, either you do it, pay your buddy $500 to do graphic design, or go on Fiverr and do it. I don't like Fiverr, but I mean, they'll do it for $500.
You could just go on freaking Vistaprint, and they have a design software program.
That was what I used. I used Vistaprint for all my stuff for the first year. I may have used it for the first like 6 years, honestly, Trevor, as I think about it. I mean, they did everything for me.
Yep.
You pay a design fee, boom, it's done. You can design it yourself, save the design fee. That's probably not a good use of your time, honestly. It's probably
No.
better just to let them do it.
Yep. But it's cheap. It's not expensive
cheap.
for them to do it.
Vistaprint was a vendor I used and have fond memories of. Postcard Mania, I think, also does it. I would not recommend ordering the small box of cards from Office Depot or Staples, just because you pay a bunch of money for those cards. But if you need it in a pinch, much better to plan from one of these big companies that sends you 1,000 for $30 as opposed to 30, 100. Anything else in this housekeeping stuff, Trevor, that we missed? I mean, I think we sort of hammered through it, but this should all be done inside of a week.
Yep.
I mean, if not a day. I mean, a day you could knock out. I would knock it all out in a day today, but I've done it. I've done it a couple times, But
yeah, it might take them two. The reality is, if you don't have any distractions, which you probably don't have any clients if you're at this stage of the game, then yeah, a day or two is really all this should take. Just start at the beginning and go through and get all this basic stuff out of the way so that you don't have to monkey with it again for a long time, right?
Right, and you can set a date, right? I've done this. Set a date. This is good enough for now. In 6 months, I'm going to redo it. So just go into my calendar and I post review business cards, right? Because in the beginning, you don't even know what you want, really. But you got to so you're going to spin your wheels trying to design the perfect thing. That 6 months from now, you're going to be like, this sucks, this is stupid. And you're going to pivot again anyway. So just hammer through it. Get something you can get clients for that makes you look professional, but not like an amateur, and then roll forward.
Yep.
And go.
Yep. Just move to the next place. Just get it done. Get it done out of the way, and then move on. And then you can get into the real stuff, the fun stuff, which is like,
even if you change the whole name of your firm in 6 months or a year, you don't have a firm history and reputation. You don't have all this stuff.
Yep.
So the impact to you is pretty minimal. So
yeah, this is the hard one to everybody's ego, right? No one's actually knows who you are. So if you make a mistake or you don't like your business cards for the first 6 months or your logo or whatever, once you have some money and you can actually pay a graphic designer, cool, they'll create a better one for you.
Yeah.
But for today, that doesn't matter because no one knows you.
And you can hand this one out. It looks good enough. It's got your name. It's got your email. It's got your phone number on it. You're done, right? And I would get a simple website put up, right? And my first website, I think, was 1-in-1 or whatever. I did it myself. It looked terrible, but it was a website somebody could go to and be like, does Shane even know anything? Clearly not about designing websites, but it had my bio, it had my criteria, and I actually had some people go to it, and they were like, this dude's clearly a working man, right? So, but that's also one of those things for probably $1,200-$1,500. You could get somebody to throw a 3-page little website up that's not optimized. That's what we would call a business card website.
Yep.
Not an SEO ninja or any of that kind of stuff. It's a business card website. Somebody only goes there because they got your business card. Boom, it's got all the info. Then you're good.
Gives you credibility and validation, right? No different than your social media, all that stuff. So, yeah, no, I think we've covered this one good. But as always, guys, we appreciate you guys being listeners of the show. If you got value from today's show, or somebody who would get value, maybe they're starting out, or some of the concepts we talked about today would be valuable to them, go ahead and share this show up. We appreciate it. Give us a like and a subscribe. We offer a lot of free training over on our website. You can head over to legaledgecoaching.com where you can get access to some free training right there. We constantly are adding things to it and just trying to help make you better. And we all right now, I don't know if we'll always do this, but we're offering exclusive one-on-one mentorship. So if you are a candidate, you got to make at least $3 million a year plus inside of your firm. As an owner, right? We're looking for the owners, and we're going to help the right person basically grow and build their firm from where you're at and give you the systems, process, routines, and help you implement those in. I can give you way more information on that, but that's also over at legaledgecoaching.com. You can find out some more information about that, and if you are a fit, could be something that could literally help you save years and years on your current trajectory of building, growing, and scaling your firm. Because we're going to walk you down the same exact map that Shane, you built as you grew your firm to over $20 million a year in revenue.
Not only did I build it, I lived it too, right? And survived. Built it, lived it, survived it. So and
still surviving it, right? You're still actively in the game. Yeah,
I'm still there, and I'm enjoying where I'm at, and we've had fabulous results. So.
Yeah, it's been amazing. So if you're interested in that, head over to legaledgecoaching.com.
So last thing is we're going to be talking about marketing next week, which is always a more fun topic for everybody. But it's not like deep dive techniques, but it's how you decide which type of marketing you're going to get most of your clients from. So if you like that, stay tuned for next week, and I'll talk to you then.
We appreciate you guys. Have a fantastic rest of your day. We're out.